Ladies and gentlemen, through time and space, disagreements are known to disunite man. But here on the Great Debaters Contest,
we bring together over 500 schools from 12 different regions to agree through one way.
Debates. I am your host, Chris Boru.
And I am Esperanza Kapanga. The motion on the table today is to end hunger, the world must embrace GMOs.
While opposing this motion, we have our Season 7 national champions, Nyeri High School.
And proposing this motion, we have the mighty Njiiris School.
Who will sway the judges?
Let's wait and see.
Proposer number 1, you have 3 minutes to make a statement.
1 out of every 9 people do not have enough food to live a healthy and active life. And this is bound to get worse with the next global crisis. Think about it. 795 million people in the world today die of hunger. Victor Munyasia, Njiiris School, proposing the motion that states, to end hunger, the world must embrace GMOs. Now, what are these GMOs? Genetically modified organisms are any organisms whose genetic materials have been altered through genetic engineering. Now, there are 2 ways which this is done. Now, we have insertion. This is the addition of any genetic gene to a genotype of an organism from another organism. And we also have gene editing. Now, gene editing is the rearrangement of genetic material of an organism in order to produce favorable characteristics. We can define hunger in 2 ways. Now, hunger can be the complete lack of food, but hunger can also be the complete lack of nutrients in food. Because let's face it, if you're eating food that has no nutrients, then basically that is not food. You're doing yourself no favor. After all, the only thing you're doing is just satisfying your stomach, which is just 1 minus 1, 0. Now, embracing is accepting. The world as a whole should accept GMOs, because let me tell you this for a fact. Genetically modified organisms are not here to substitute the methods you already have in place to end world hunger. SDG number 2. SDG number 3. SDG number 2. Zero hunger. SDG number 3. Good health and well-being. Good health and well-being in nutrition. Zero hunger in food production. Now, GMOs here are here to supplement the methods we already have. Of course, it is a risk putting in place a new method to curb a certain situation. But let me tell you for a fact, even the methods we had before were a risk at some point in time. The principle of beneficence. The principle of beneficence states that for any research to be carried out on any human being or animal, it is for the maximum benefit of the people and for the maximum good. Now, we should all embrace GMOs to save our souls and prevent imminent doom.
Ladies and gentlemen, to have a problem is not the problem, but to lack a solution for the problem is the problem. But the major problem, listen, is to have a wrong solution for the problem you have. My name is Waweru Wanyeki from Nyeri High School, opposing the motion that to end hunger, the world must embrace GMOs. Now, what is to end? It is to completely stop. Hunger is a state whereby one has no enough food. And to embrace is to accept. What are GMOs? Genetically modified organisms are organisms whose genetic composition has been altered in such a way that they do not occur naturally. Now, I bet everyone here has ever been hungry sometime. And when I think of hunger, I remember that day I tried to fast. Oh my, it was awful, and that is why I tried. I never fasted. And when I see this, I remember a research by Food Agricultural Organization. It states that 815 million people are hungry in the world. And the reason they are hungry, not because they lack food, but simply because they have no solution for their food, for their hunger. Now, Food Agriculture Organization, on a post on vitana.org on 7th of July 2017, claimed that the world produces 20% more than it is supposed to consume. But the reason as to why they are hungry people, it is because 50% of the 815 million people are poor, and they can simply not purchase food. They lack food, not because there is no food, but because they cannot purchase it. Then the GMOs, aimed at increasing production, aimed at adding food in our market, our global market, is of no use to end hunger, because the poor man will remain a poor man. Whether you bring GMOs, whether you bring manna from heaven, whatever food you bring, if at all he cannot purchase, then he will end up remaining hungry. Now, according to World Health Organization, United States of America disposes 2 million tons of food in every 5 years. 2 million tons of food. This is food enough to solve the hunger problem in 10 countries of Africa. Now, when I look at a research posted on the BBC.com, that 50% of the people who are hungry come from conflict-stricken areas. That 50% come from countries like Yemen, countries like Pakistan, countries like Syria. These countries, according to BBC News, have been forced to cut down the import on food simply because there's political crisis, simply because they are not settled, simply because there's a religious crisis. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to ask my learned gentleman from Njiiris School a question. Do you think GMOs will solve the problem of politics? Do you think it will bring stability to Syria, Yemen, and other countries? I rest my case.
Second proposer, you have 3 minutes for cross-examination.
Doom, I say doom. We are all doomed. We are all doomed because according to a research by the World Food Programme, the food crisis is only predicted to get worse in the next 4 years. My name is Jeff Murishu, here to strongly propose the motion that GMOs that to end hunger, the world must embrace GMOs. Now, our opponents have spoken about having a problem and no solution, but here today we come with a solution. They speak of conflicts and problems, but don't conflicts and problems only make food production go lower? And now, food production is bound to get is predicted to get lower in the next 4 years, according to the research by the World Food Programme, because of issues such as unprecedented population growth. According to another research by the UN, by 2050, the population of the world is bound to have increased to 9 million. If we cannot feed the population that we have now, how are we to feed a population that is 2 billion more? If we cannot feed the people in the world today, how are we to feed the 2 million people to come? Conflicts and wars, as our opponents have spoken about, are only going to make this situation worse because people die, and these people are those who produce this food. Natural calamities and other imminent disasters are only going to make the situation worse. SDG number 2 speaks of zero hunger. Now, how are we to achieve this zero hunger? Genetically modified foods help to meet this goal in that they make crops which are pest and disease resistant. By making crops which are pest and disease resistant, they enable the yields to go high, and therefore food production also increases. Now, people only become poor because they do not have money to live within their means, or they do not have sufficient money to live within or to provide for their needs. GMOs is going to make food cheaper, because if there is enough food in the world, then why should food be expensive? Because if we are producing enough food, then why will the prices of food go high? Now, I want to show you the bigger picture. I want to show you the end goal. Food production goes higher, prices of food go lower, and therefore people get richer. Offering a solution to the problem, and not only the problem of food production, but also the problem of poverty. Now, I want to show you how we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I want to show you how we can solve 2 problems with 1 solution. SDG number 3 speaks about good health and well-being. GMOs are going to promote good health in that they are going to curb the nutritional hunger that today is marring our society. GMOs have improved the nutritional content of foods. We all know of the golden rice, which contains the beta-carotene. Beta-carotene is the same substance which make carrots green, or carrots orange, sorry. Beta-carotene is being produced in our rice, and therefore people who feed on this rice get more nutritional content. We have potatoes which have more starch content. And therefore today, do we want to go down in the books of history as the people who were not ready to take the risk? Do you want to go down in the books of history who let the world go down in doom? Thank you.
Second opposer, you have 3 minutes for your re-examination.
So long as Austin Kabera from the Nyeri High School is alive and kicking, I will never coincide with the motion that states to end hunger, the world must embrace GMOs. And why do I say this? Because of SDG goal number 3. They have told us that it supports good health and well-being. But is that true? Really? A research conducted by Alex Winnerman from the Brown University in the year 2016 stated that these GMOs increase allergenic reaction by up to 46% in human beings because they introduce proteins which the human food has not been used to. Now, is this really good health and well-being that we are fighting for? The one problem that we all have as human beings, that we all have as the starving people, is that we all know that we are producing more food than is required, but it is not reaching the places it is supposed to. GMOs are not sustainable. Why do I say this? Because according to Vitana organization, only 6 countries are mandated to be able to produce and control the standards and regulations of GMOs, which states clearly, because if these 6 countries were not to supply this hungry population with GMOs, we would all starve to death and we'll all be back to point 0. Hence, it is not sustainable. Another issue is corruption. It is not that we are hungry because people are poor everywhere. It is not that we are hungry because we cannot farm. The problem is corruption also. A research done by the Vitana organization in 2016 stated that 718 million out of the 15 million starving people in the world come from countries with corrupt governments. Fortune500.com stated that 78% of land in hunger-stricken areas is owned by the rich. So where do you want this poor person to plant the GMOs, yet there is land grabbing? The people in the echelons of those high societies want more money. They want everything to be to benefit to them. So why would he care for that one person who is starving? Why would he care for that one country that is starving, yet he can afford food on his plate? Let us look at a country like Somalia. Somalia is ranked number 1 in the United Nations Corruption Index 2016. Yet, they are also ranked as number 2 in the most food insecure country in the world, according to Green Organization Movement. This tells you that corruption has a serious link to world hunger. And if we are able to end corruption, we'll be able to embrace this. We are able to embrace SDG goal number 2, which is zero hunger. We are going to embrace SDG goal number 1, which is no poverty. And last of all, we are going to embrace SDG goal number 16, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions.
The proposers have been asked, won't embracing GMOs be going against the sustainable development goals that champion for good and sustainable production? And the opposers have been asked, if not GMOs, then what other solutions are they giving to end hunger in the world? Proposer number 3, you have 3 minutes to answer the question.
Kennedy Kirika, Njiiris, here to strongly propose the motion that says, to end hunger, the world must embrace GMOs. The question posted to us about GMOs, won't we be going against SDGs? But SDG number 9 clearly states that we need to have industry and innovation for us to move forward as a country. It clearly states that because I remember when before in the 31st New Year ceremony, the president said that we need to have new methods to curb all problems. So they are talking about, the opposers of the motion are talking about good health. Well, I have a problem with natural food produced here in the country. Beans affect me with acid. I have an issue with beans because they give me a heartburn. Then who says that if we use SDGs, if we embrace GMOs, they'll be having the same problem? No, they won't be having the same problem because a research by Dr. Gitonga from Kenyatta National Hospital clearly states that GMOs are eco-friendly to the human body. Again, natural foods have also proven to have issues on human health because we're using pesticides, we're using herbicides. These herbicides and pesticides have been proven that they bring illness to us. They destroy the environment. Then why should we use old methods to solve new problems? A wise man once said that to solve a problem, you don't go against it. You face it head on. Let's accept it. We have a problem. Irrigation schemes have failed us. Governments have failed us. But a study by the African Union in Africa clearly states that corruption levels have gone down by 1.8%. Then why are we still talking about hunger? Countries like Kenya, we don't have war. While places like Turkana, there is still hunger. That's because we're refusing to embrace some few simple methods to alleviate hunger from our country. In 2003, President Mugabe refused for GMOs to be introduced in his country. In the year 2005, there was drought in their country. USA decided to fund them or give them aid with GMO maize, which President Mugabe again refused. The numbers of the deaths were 170,000 within the first 3 months. Do we still want to have the same issues in our country? Do we still want to refuse to embrace new methods to solve old issues? Thank you.
That opposer, you have 3 minutes to respond.
Now, to find yourself in a sitting where rumors are blurted out like the real truth, it might be a tragedy. But to have found yourself speaking at such times is the real measure. Well, my name is George Kariuki from the Serenity of a Hill, Nyeri High School, here to oppose this motion that to end hunger, the world must embrace GMOs. To the question raised by our brilliant audience, we are against GMOs. Then what solutions are we offering? 1, SDG goal number 1, poverty eradication. Corruption, eradicate corruption, and we get food security. SDG goal number 12, responsible production and consumption. Now, SDG goal number 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Now, International Finance Corporation on October 18th conducted a research in 2016 and found out that more than half, this should shock you, more than half of people live that are actually people who starve. The 815 million, more than half of that come from countries that are conflict-stricken. And what does this tell us? That eradicate conflicts in those countries, create peace, and farmers will settle down to agriculture more seriously. SDG goal number 12, responsible production and consumption. Food and Agriculture Organization on 24th of August 2014 conducted a research. And what did they found out? That each year, an estimated 1.3 billion tons of food worth around 1 trillion end up in waste between producers and consumers. Now, leave that alone. And why does this food go to loss? Because of poor transport and poor farming systems. Now here is the thing. SDG goal number 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. We shall come to you, we shall give you GMOs, but until we get good feeder roads to connect farms and factories, we have not given you food security. SDG goal number 5, gender equality. And I look at a research conducted by hungerwatch.com, and what does it tell me? 60% of agriculture is manned by women. And what does Hungerwatch still tell me? Hungerwatch still tell me that only 37% of women have access to resources, to farming resources. And what is the effect? It says that if women got more resources than men, the hunger rate would reduce from 815 million people to 150 million people. I am not Martin Luther King, but I have a dream. To our friends who said that actually GMOs he eats beans and gets allergic reactions, I would only tell him that I don't think giving you GMOs is any better. Prefer maize. There are no allergic reactions there. Thank you.
Proposition, you have 1 minute to wrap up your case.
Jeff Murichu, here in proposition of the motion that to end hunger, the world must embrace GMOs. Now, my father taught me, and he taught me well, that the true measure of a man is how he handles his problems, head on and on to the point. Our opponents are giving a solution to all the social problems that faces corruption, bad leadership, but yet people are dying of hunger. How do we expect leaders to lead a dying population? How do we expect leaders to lead people who are starving, people who are hungry? And now today I stand here to tell you that you do not want to be the person who let millions of people die only 4 years to come. You do not want to be the person who let others face a life of hunger. But instead, you want to be the person who let other people enjoy good life and a sustainable future. And they seem to have taken our side in saying that GMOs, the whole point of the SDGs is to promote sustainability. And that is what we stand here to promote today, sustainability. GMOs are going to provide food for the population of today, and not only today, but the years to come, and the children to come, and our generations to come. Thank you.
Opposition, you have 1 minute to wrap up.
First of all, GMOs are not sustainable. They have to be replanted. Now, let me go to this. I told you I am a dreamer. I may not be Martin Luther King, but perhaps I am black, and I have a dream. I cherish a dream. And out there in the horizons, I see a country in a mountain. A country built on a mountain, rather. And what do I see here? Before we get to that country, there are rivers we have to navigate. The rivers of corruption. There are forests we have to explore, the forests of gender inequality. We have to endure the cold of poverty. We have to conquer the guards at the gates, and the guards are none other than poor farming system. I tell you that I don't have a dream, but I perhaps love JMO. JMO, my friend, who does not support GMOs. If JMO is starving, he does not support GMOs. Who are we today? JMO is starving. Remember, poverty can't save JMO. JMO is starving. JMO is not for GMOs. Who are we? JMO is starving.
Victor, you started over very well. The preamble, the eloquence, very convincing. Even the angle you took in the introduction, complete lack of nutrition in food. But I thought that you took a lot of time going through introductions of terms, and that ate into your time. You realize, or you remember, that by the time the bell was rung, you are still on some bit of introduction. So you are not able to go back now to your main points. But you did very well. Jeff, good statistics, the cross-examination, the rebuttal, your eloquence, the engagement, you were able to engage the audience. We could follow you and feel you. Kennedy, you gave it your best shot, but you were not as powerful, as aggressive that you ought to have been. You should have been able to compliment, say, Victor or even Jeff, as Jeff came in strongly.
So to the two teams, once again, thank you for such an intelligent discourse. To start with Njiiris SchooL, your arguments were quite coherent, and I show that you have done your research well. You gave a number of citations And most of all, you are able to link the motion to the SDGs, which I believe that is what GDC is all about. You give us a number of SDGs that are related to your motion, and you're able to connect them quite well. To the Nyeri team, once again, you have also done the motion that you are given justice. Very nice research with very nice citations of your sources. And just like the Nyeri team, you are able to connect the motion to the SDGs. And I want to believe that all teams should be able to do that because GDC is about SDGs. To the three of you, I think I was most impressed by Wawero's style of presentation. Just a quiet, calm way of doing it, but very, very strong. And one thing I've observed about the two teams is that all speakers were very serious-looking speakers, whether by design or by coincidence, I don't know. But I think it is because the issue of food is a very serious matter. All the best.
First of all, I am impressed. I had to listen all through to the debate, to the submissions, and this was an intelligent debate. And I love the fact that you did not disappoint at all. So that was good, and I just want to appreciate the hard work behind it. Let me start with the host, Nyeri High School. Wawero, excellent submissions, excellent way of bringing in and building in a case that there are many other factors. And for me, one word, excellent. Austin, beautiful way of also bringing in the cross-examination, first of all. Your passion as well is commendable. And I think what hammered it was your example of Somali, bringing in the relation of hunger and corruption and giving the index and now telling us, listen, GMOs really are nothing to do with this. George, well done. Well done. Even when the distractions come, you still had the same tempo. That is very much commendable.
All right. This race has been quite tight, but we have the numbers with us. Njiiris School, you managed to garner a whooping 73%. Let's appreciate them. Following very closely, we have Nyeri High School. Chris, this is your alma mater. Maybe you should announce the results.
All right, Esperanza. The judges have seen fit to award Nyeri High School 74.7%, making them the winners of this debate.
Congratulations to both schools. We have definitely had an amazing quality of debate today.
You could not have said it better. Remember, to our learners in this debate, every setback is a setup for different comeback. Learning from this debate will just propel you next time to come back better and be a great debater. Our conversation still continues with the hashtag GDC for SDGs across our social media platforms.
I have been your host, Esperanza Kapanga.
And I am Chris Boru. See you tomorrow, same place, same time.